BlizzCon was cancelled so we could get Warcraft Direct. And what is Warcraft Direct, you ask? And that is a good question. It is a solution that Blizzard is providing to a problem that they created. Very on the nose and on the book for Blizzard. What does that mean for you and me, the player base? What adventure they're taking us on now that we didn't ask for? So let's dive right into that, shall we? It's also drastically cheaper to host an online-only Direct where nobody can talk to you, but you get to talk to them. Nonetheless, the Warcraft Direct is hype. People want to hear about all the juicy announcements, the tantalizing secrets Blizzard is cooking up at their HQ. And we know for a fact, right off the get-go, that the Warcraft 20th anniversary event is going to have more information, more details, and just more juicy drops upon us at that time. But there's also Classic's 5th anniversary, World of Warcraft's 20th anniversary, and the Warcraft franchise's 30th anniversary. Now, they did already announce the 20th anniversary patch for retail. It looks amazing. It's chock full of some gorgeous, interesting shit. In fact, if I'm being honest, Retail WoW's 11.05 patch is more classic than classic. They get a BRD raid. They get the second Ancrage event, a time-walking Ancrage event. It's kind of wonky. It looks cool. They get tier 2 in high resolution, and so much more. The 20th anniversary event is stacked. For classic players, what do they get? Nothing. That's not quite true though. Like I said, they said there was going to be more announcements, specifically Warcraft based, at this Warcraft Direct around late October, early November. So what exactly is the classic player base looking for? What are we going to get? Now, I could give you the conspiracy answer, or I could give you the relatively true answer. Now, people have seen Sodapoppin's delay of OnlyFans and they're conspiracizing. They're going Classic Plus, Classic Fresh, Hardcore Fresh, and anything in between. And the honest answer is, it's probably going to be a Classic Fresh of some kind. And I'm not saying that because Sodapoppin delayed OnlyFans. That doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. I'm saying that because there's never been a better time to announce something for Classic's future. Cataclysm is starting to wear down. We're going into Firelands. It's going to be nice and good. It's probably the ultimate experience in the Cataclysm experience. Sure, you have Deathwing and that raid, but no one really cares about that. That's cool, but Firelands is peak. So people are going to enjoy the shit out of Firelands and then they're going to move on for the most part. Then we have the classic player base. Now, Sod player base, we're still eating. It's good out here. We have juicy details. We have Phase 5, new dungeons, just new experiences. But then comes AQ and nobody really likes AQ. Sure, I'm gonna have people in the comments saying AQ is great. That's some goddamn bullshit. AQ as a raid is tiring and boring. Still gonna be cool the first time you do it, but then it's going to be raid logging into quitting until Nax comes out. Then you have era servers, and the era player base is something on itself. When the Deviate Delight refresh movement happened, it was great. It was popping off. And then that dies as typical because a player-made event just can't last as long because eventually people just get tired of it and move on. And then we have Hardcore. And Hardcore, it's popping off. It always pops off. It has a dedicated player base, and every time a new event happens, people come back in large numbers, have a good time, and then they move on. You can only play Hardcore for so long for the average player. So, what will Blizzard do? Now, I already said we're getting Classic Fresh, and when you get a Classic Fresh, you're probably getting a Classic Hardcore Fresh with that as well. And the reason I say this so confidently is because it makes about sense. Now, you have Cataclysm leading into Mr. Pandaria Classic, and people like that. Sure, it's going to get some good player base, it's going to have some good arenas, people are going to have a good time. But most people don't consider Mr. Pandaria to be classic. It's going to be fun, but we just had MoP Remix recently. So just based off of that, MoP Classic is going to be cool, but it's going to be a side project. It's not going to be as exciting for a large portion of the player base. And then we have Sod. Like I said, we're going to have Nax soon. And the devs are cooking new content, new stuff. We're probably getting some new events, some new dungeons. Heck, maybe even a couple new raids. Maybe Karazhan Crypts or Karazhan Tower, or maybe a completely original raid. Because they're making the Burning of Andorhal a brand new dungeon, completely new, based off their new technology, which allows them to instance off a whole portion of the world and make it into a location. That shit's juicy. But at the end of the day, Seasonal Discovery is wearing thin, not because it's a bad game mode. I'm having a blast. But the reason is, people are starting to get sick of seasonal content, or just their characters being forgotten or put on another era server, or just repeating and leveling characters again and again. Now, Hardcore doesn't have that issue because that's the whole point of Hardcore. level up, the thrill, don't die, get to 60, raid, get that gear, don't die. And then eventually you die, you burn out, and then you stop. Eventually you hit the goal you wanted to and you stop. But hardcore is a goal-driven game, so your leveling is irrelevant to the average classic player. And honestly, more than anything else, the player base truly and really just wants one main thing. Now, I already said fresh, people want the fuck out of that, and I'll explain that in a second, but it's Classic Plus. Now, will we get Classic Plus at Warcraft Direct in late October, early November? You want the real answer or you want some fucking copium? Because the real answer is a no. The copium answer is yes, but the true answer is in between both of those. We are likely going to get a semblance of a teaser similar to what we got in November of last year, where they showed Karazhan Crypts and they showed the Scarlet Dungeon and Raid. They're gonna get a teaser like that. Honestly, they might do a big brain move and put a 5-second trailer playing. The TV drops down, you see some footage come on screen, and then you see in Azeroth, where memories and memories were happening, and then this bullshit and that bullshit, and the classic trailer plays. And then you hear the guy at the end go, but the memories and adventures in Azeroth were just the beginning. Because when people walked into the Burning Crusade and went through the Dark Portal, the adventurers who stayed behind, they too had stories to tell. And then it fades off into the classic World of Warcraft logo with a plus. Or Vanilla Reborn, or whatever they end up calling it. Now that's the best we can hope for. Will we get more than that? No. Like, let's be honest, yeah, they're not going to show us anything in detail this early. We still have things on Discovery being dragged out. Like, by the time Blackwing Lair is like 4 weeks in, we're going to be in Warcraft Direct. We haven't even touched onto AQ, we haven't even touched onto Nax, any new dungeons or raids, any new content. SOD still has about a year's time left. I expect SOD to end November next year. At earliest, probably July or maybe August next year is about the earliest you can see SOD ending. Which then brings me into Fresh. Now, Fresh as a concept is kind of controversial because there's a lot of people who are just burnt out of constantly re-leveling new characters and doing Classic all over again. But at the very same time, the Classic player base is probably one of the most dedicated, most hardcore players to ever play a game. They're like the old school RuneScape players. They only play Classic. Each time Classic goes into a new version of the game, whether that's TBC or Wrath or Cataclysm or SOD or whatnot, the player base numbers dip a bit because certain Classic players will only play vanilla. Now, a Classic Fresh will probably just be a faster paced Classic. They'll probably announce Classic to Wrath of the Lich King, a 4-year project, compacted into all the phases being announced from the get-go so people know how long they're going to last, how long events are, and all that beautiful information. And that is honestly cool. That's actually good for the player base. Now, they can typically probably start that either alongside like Blackwing Lair or AQ, or they can start it after SOD, and they can just drag it out as long as they necessarily need to make Classic Plus. And we know Classic Plus is coming. This isn't copium on my part. The devs confirmed it in an interview with me and an interview with Hammerdance. What is SOD for, if not experimentation? Because we're clearly working on something else. Now, that's not what they said, but I'm paraphrasing. Classic Plus is coming. But they're not going to cook up an amazing Classic Plus game mode in the next 6 months. Even if they started working on it a year ago, there still isn't much time, especially with all the stuff they're doing on SOD. We are looking at least, at a bare minimum, 2026 August or November 2025 as the release date for Classic Plus. And that is conservative estimates. Because realistically, they could say 2027 or some shit like that. But personally, I would rather they release the base content with some extra new stuff like Karazhan Crypt and then work on it with us, the player base, being there side by side voting on features. But this isn't a Classic Plus video. We're talking about Warcraft Direct and all the announcements at Warcraft Direct. Now, for any retail players that clicked on this, you guys are probably wondering, what about me? Well, you guys are getting the 20th anniversary event. You guys are getting Midnight. You guys are getting the Last Titan. You guys have so much content coming that I'm not even going to touch on that. You guys are eating good for the next 4 years at a minimum. Chris Metzen literally confirmed that we have expansions up to 17.0. We are in 11.0 right now. That means Midnight is 12.0. The Last Titan is 13.0, and then this man already has 14, 15, 16, and 17.0 cooking. That is 4 more expansions after the Last Titan. Retail's good. The Classic player base does need more of my time though, and I'm also a Classic content creator, so this is what this video is mainly for. Now, to be fair, I should also mention one thing. This is the Warcraft Direct. It's not just Classic, it's not just retail, it's everything Warcraft. Now, we're probably going to get some teasers for some new Warcraft games. I know Phil Spencer wants to flood Game Pass with bullshit that you buy so you sub to Game Pass. So we might get like a Warcraft 4, a Warcraft 3 remaster again. To be fair, there's a whole story there. I did an interview with one of the OG guys that was working on Warcraft 3 as well as Reforged as one of the lead developers there. And there's some interesting information about Warcraft 3 Reforged was meant to be. So Microsoft remastering the remaster, honestly, cook. Do your best. Make an RPG, make an RTS, make a Thrall cooking simulator. I don't give a shit. Just make content. Honestly, announce an anime. That 5-minute teaser trailer of Illyria and her flashbacks was amazing. Make a Warcraft anime. Look at Arcane. It's winning Oscars, Emmys, everything you can think of, they're winning. Warcraft could do the same. This is a titanic franchise. Utilize it correctly. But having discussed everything, having stated everything, what do you all think is happening at Warcraft Direct? What do you think Blizzard is going to cook? Because I have to clarify this. There has never been a better time to be a World of Warcraft player. For Classic alone, you have Era, you have Hardcore, you have Season of Discovery, and you have Cataclysm. You can play Classic in 4 different ways. For retail, you have the War Within. You typically have game modes like Plunder Storm or Mop Remix, and they already said they're doing another Mop Remix, and they're doing another kind of game mode similar to Plunder Storm in the future. You have so many expansions just stacked coming. You have the 20th anniversary. There are so many ways to play World of Warcraft that there's never been a better time. I'm not even being a Warcraft shill. I have never had more fun being a WoW player since Legion. Also Classic 2019's launch, that was amazing. But not counting those 2 instances, WoW is at its peak right now. It is awesome to be a WoW fan. And Blizzard, they're finally being a good company again. Diablo 4 is finally good. I don't want to speak for the rest of their franchises. Overwatch 2 is still a shit show. They need to fix that. Hearthstone is good, but card games are kind of dying at this point. Bring back Heroes of the Storm, 2.0 launch, do it. It's great to be a Blizzard fan. I have faith in the company, and yes, you can call me a shill, but I'm loving it. I'm having a good time. So thank you all for watching. If you liked this video, like and subscribe. If you hated it, be a dedicated fucking hater. Hate the shit out of every single one of my videos. Go and watch every video I did and dislike each video individually. Be a man. Anyways, thank you all. Ebonhard out. Peace.